All right, today our new tool that we're going to start using is the GeoGebra and Geometry Calculator. If you go to GeoGebra, so geogebra.org, you'll find a lot of neat tools that you could try using. There's a graphing calculator, there's a 3D calculator, there's a CAS calculator, and a scientific calculator. Especially in grade 8, maybe high school and grade 9, the scientific calculator and the graphing calculator will be incredibly useful. But today what we're going to use is our geometry calculator. And the way you'd get to this is geogebra.org/geometry. And of course, I will post a link to this in our classroom. But before we get started, I want to make you a little bit familiar with the platform itself. And it should open up a blank page that looks like this. And up in the top right-hand corner, we have a gear. So I want you to click on the gear. We won't be using the axes today, but I just wanted to show you the axes. And it looks a little bit different right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out just a tad. And this is an axis that you're pretty familiar with from last week when we talked about our Cartesian planes. So very useful. If you're still working on those assignments, take a look at this. It could actually help you quite a bit. But we're going to turn that off for now. And then we are going to try to use our grid system. And I'll show you the major grid lines at first. So this is just very typical graph paper. I personally like grids, but I like to use major and minor grid lines. So this gives us a little bit more precision, nice and easy. Another feature that comes automatically on, but just make sure that you do have it on, is snap to grid. This is going to make your math a lot tighter and easier to use. And I always like to have zoom to fit on. So if my object or my math becomes very big, it's going to automatically zoom for me. But just in case you want to manually zoom, there's a plus and minus magnifier down at the bottom, of course, to zoom in or zoom out. Or if you're somebody that likes to work in full screen, we also have our full screen available as well. Okay, there's a few tools on the left-hand side I'd like to point out. These are very useful, especially when we start looking at polygons. So polygons, it allows us to make a shape. So I just clicked on that, but it really gives very good sort of hints and tricks down at the bottom at first. But long story short, you make a point, you drag your point out to where you want to make your other points. And then finally, once you're done making that shape, you would then come back to the original point you made. So in our case, it's point A. And once you click on that, it's a solid polygon. And then you could even click on the move tool and you could even start to move things around. So if you wanted it a little bit over to the left, that's easy too. Some really cool features that I'd like to point out is if you click on the more button down here, there's a lot going on, but one feature that you're going to use for these assignments this week is if you click on distance or length. Very neat, because what I can do is I could click on one point and drag to another point, or click on another point, and it tells me the measurement right away. Now, of course, we know that this is not using units. This whole year I've been telling you, make sure you have units. Because it's a digital platform, you can't claim it's a centimeter or a meter or a millimeter. It just keeps the unit spot blank, which makes sense. And then I could measure the height, so from B to C, and then I have a height of 8. And then I could start to work with those numbers and say, okay, if I want a segment line halfway between the two, I could say I want to put segment line here and drag it out to here. Then I could even double check to make sure that I'm in the right spot and start measuring again. So E to D, and it's going to label it 4. I know if that's 8. Fantastic. I could do really detailed drawings on this. Okay, so that's where I'm going to stop for now. There's a lot more tools that we'll start to use, but I'd like you to start to explore this yourself. One thing I would like to point out before I get going is if you click up at the top here, yes, you could do like a new board if you have a big messy board, or you could save. If you click on new, it's a really cool feature. They get you to save the original board. So in this case, we'll do tester, save. So it did save it for me, but be careful. I can't guarantee it's going to save it for you for the whole time. I would consider making an account. It's not necessary for our assignments, but it could make your life a little bit easier down the road. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again.